Welcome to CLIC Connect. I'm your host, Craig Sullivan. Today's show is being brought to you by our good friends at Chicago Title, their National Commercial Services Group. Without them, the show would not be possible. Today, it is an honor and a pleasure. My brother from another mother, Quez, Michael Quez Marquez. How are you?
Hey, Craig. How are you? Glad to be here.
It's good to see you. How you been?
I have been. I've been busy. We've been trying to reinvent the industry a little bit, but we're doing just fine.
You've been in franchise development for nearly 30 years. What are you seeing out there right now? What are some of the most significant changes you've been dealing with during this pandemic?
Well, first of all, it makes me jump when you say almost 30 years. I cannot possibly believe that. I'm in the middle of my 29th year. So anyway, it's changed quite a lot. So, franchising kind of in the hotel side of the world kind of took off in the 70s and 80s, like Howard Johnson, and, you had Quality Inn and some of the Best Western stuff out there. And it was really just about quality assurance. When I was a kid, I remember my mom looking for that gold King's hat for Best Western. And that just meant that there was somebody bigger behind the name. And so that was my first exposure, in junior high school or so, of what franchising really was. And then when I got in the business in 92, it was with HFS, which became Sendet and then Wyndham, where I am currently. It was about brands. It was about branding and creating an experience, whether it was a Days Inn or a Motel 6 or a Marriott or a Hilton. There was this concerted effort to create a brand expectation. And it was about branding and continue to be about branding and protecting that brand. And that hasn't changed on the brand side of it. But what's changed in franchise sales and franchising as a model, it's really now about a platform. It's about loyalty. It's about, I spend so much time with owners about the value of the Wyndham rewards currency and how valuable it is and how many things how many places you can use that currency. And it really became a function of the OTAs, all the OTAs, the Expedias and the Travelocities, et cetera, of the world. They're not an enemy, but they're not a loyal guest either. And so we have to take them on and learn to try to make them a loyal guest. So the platform is really what I've seen changing.
Absolutely. Now, how many flags does Wyndham have now? We've got 20 something?
There are 19 flags. We have 9,000. Yeah, 19. And, you can decipher between a couple, call them one or two, but including our soft branding, et cetera. But we have 19 brands. 9,300 locations. We're the largest franchisor in the world in terms of just locations, and so it's a big company.
So, Michael, how's Wyndham been faring in comparison to the independents and the other brands out there during the pandemic?
Well, Wyndham's brands, about 80% of our customers, our guests, are driving to our locations. So that's not all transient travel, but a good chunk of that is transient business. And then it's some business travel, but it's more drive to. And so we were not nearly hit quite as hard as the Marriotts, the Hiltons, the full service. And so I think we've done pretty well. We held up pretty well in the limited service segments, more of our limited service brands. If you get to about 35 to 40% occupancy, you can at least pay the bills. And I think something like 97, 98% of our hotels stayed open. So very few closed.
Okay. Now, you're visiting the Golden State today. You're out here in California.
That's
so obviously, you're working on deals, whether it's north or south of my location, which really isn't in the Seychelles Islands like this picture behind me. But, what are you seeing out there for development? Is it going to be more brand conversions than anything else right now?
Well, development follows capital, and it's access to capital, and it's underwriting. There's a lot of companies that are helping on the capital side with key money to try to get people over the top. Banks are going to be banks. And they're going to be pretty careful with the equity requirement they're going to require until they feel more comfortable. And so my guess is going to be on the conversion side. It's not going to really still be transactional based yet. I think we're probably 6 to 12, maybe 18 months before we get a robust amount of movement in terms of transaction-based deals. But I do think that there's going to be a significant amount of independent hotels that are looking for some relief. And then there's going to be some people that are just, they can't make it work with it. Maybe a Holiday Express is forcing them to spend money regardless of their financial situation. And maybe we can pick that up as a conversion to one of our conversion brands.
Yeah. Now, your client base is everything to you, and it always has been. You're very, people focused like we all are. So I can only imagine you've been on the phone, Zoom meetings, and now even, face to face with people. How's your client base doing?
Well, we actually put together, we kind of made it a little bit fun with our development team, and we created ways to interact, and we had contests with, how many Zoom calls we could make and how many handwritten letters could we do, and what we would have Zoom happy hours and do all of those things to stay in touch with our clients and sort of go through this with them. But I will tell you that the clients they're uncertain. They're receptive to conversations, but I would be remiss not to say that in my business, in your business, we have to remember that it's hospitality. And while Zoom has become sort of a replacement for a while, it can't stay that permanently. It's going to have to be an enhancement. And maybe we're getting better at certain ways to communicate with face-to-face, and maybe it adds a little value to those face-to-face meetings. But if it replaces it, I think we're all in trouble. So I've been out there traveling really since June. And as an example, to say, this is my industry. I'm being careful. I'm being respectful. I'm wearing a mask. I'm social distancing. I'm asking for permission to have the meetings. But I've been out there because that's what we do. That's the core of what we are.
That is what we do. And I couldn't agree more with you. I think whether it's Zoom or another platform, it's an enhancement. It cannot be the future. That's not how you get deals done. It helps with a deal, certainly, but it's not how you're getting the deal done. It's about being in that room with 2 people, 4 people, whatever it may be.
Sure.
So we are rapidly running out of time, my friend. So I want to ask you one more question. Who are your role models in franchise development and for franchise sales?
It's funny, and I'll be brief, but I know that Greg Casserly, a lot of people know Cass, the president of Tarsadia, and now he's kind of moved on to their pharmaceutical side. But Cass was a real role model for me. Tom Bernardo became the chief development officer at Sandan. I played professional football in Europe with him, and that's how I got in the business. And so I'd have to say he's a big role model. A lot of the people that have influenced me over the years, and some of them are just, they're my peers. People like Shane Platt and I. Shane Platt and I have kind of bounced around in different companies, and so Shane's been a real person. And that's if my son is now a franchise sales guy, and so he works at Choice where I worked for a long time. And it's interesting. It's interesting to now kind of be that role model a little bit, and you're now the old guy, and you're developing, talking about new talent all the time. So that's what I would say.
There was a day when we were the Young Turks.
Not anymore. Not anymore.
My brother, thank you for being on the show today. You've got an open invitation to come back and join us anytime you want. When you're in Orange County, give me a call. Come on over. We'll have a barbecue and a beverage, okay?
Thanks, Craig. Craig, thanks for all you're doing for this industry. We're going to bounce back. We're going to do this together. So I appreciate you having me on. Have a great day, guys.
My pleasure. Now it's time for you to give everybody a shameless plug. How can they get a hold of you, Quez, and sign a couple of franchise deals?
Michael.Marquez, Marquez, at Wyndham.com. And my mobile number, always open, 303-819-3032. So there's my plug.
Thank you, and I'll see you soon. Take care. And for you, thank you for joining us today. And we look forward to seeing you on the next episode of CLIC Connect. And hopefully you can meet Michael at the 5th Annual California Lodging Investment Conference on March 4th. Until the next episode, aloha.
Aloha.